Okay, I just want to say one more time, I did not have the Cult of MAGA fractures over the Jeffrey Epstein files on my 2025 bingo card. I did not think that was going to be the thing that cracks MAGA wide open and causes people to start leaving the cult that they have been so deeply indoctrinated in since QAnon days. And boy, oh boy, I definitely did not have Angela agrees with MAGA on anything on my 2025 bingo card. But here we are with the Jeffrey Epstein files and the fact that Pam Bondi and Donald Trump are now claiming that there was no Epstein list. Yeah, okay, sure, Pam. Even MAGA doesn't believe you, sweetheart. So I actually was sitting down to film a video about how not only is the FBI's Dan Bongino, who, again, MAGA, one of the reasons they voted for Trump and they wanted him is because he was going to release the Epstein files. He now may be getting pushed out or forced to resign. And then there is some new reporting that I got to do more information to confirm this because I'm only seeing it posted a couple of places, that FBI Director Kash Patel is considering resigning, especially if Dan Bongino gets pushed out, all over this big, fat debacle, disastrous handling of the Epstein files. And my plan was to tie that into a new piece that's out today in Wired magazine entitled Metadata Shows the FBI's Raw Jeffrey Epstein Prison Video Was Likely Modified. Yeah, 2025 America, y'all, where shit is happening that sounds like a conspiracy theory. And so all of the conspiracy theorists in MAGA are losing their mind over it, right? When real life imitates MAGA conspiracy, it's just, whoa. Okay. So the subtitle for this article is, "There is no evidence the footage was deceptively manipulated, but ambiguities about how the video was processed may further fuel conspiracy theories about Epstein's death." Right, so the reporting is that there's this 10-hour-long raw video that shows that no one entered Epstein's cell before he died by suicide. But the reporting from Wired says that that video was likely modified before release. A metadata analysis shows that there is what folks are now calling the missing minute. And to call it the missing minute is not entirely accurate, but this is how conspiracy theories work. They're not bound by accuracy. What it looks like, according to the reporting, is that the surveillance system footage was modified using Adobe Premiere Pro, but they're not sure whether anything was changed or whether that change was meant to be deceptive if it did occur. Why would they run it through Adobe Premiere Pro? Right, so it could have been something as simple as splicing together multiple clips to make one long, continuous 10-hour piece of footage. But right, there's just no clarity and so many inconsistencies from this regime when it comes to the Epstein footage. Trump ran so many Trumpers, MAGA diehards, who were all about save the children, right? As I said before, these are folks who believe in adrenochrome and Pizzagate. They say they care so much about little kids. They really believed that the Epstein files were going to be released, not believed because they made it up in their heads, but because Trump and Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, all these folks, they promised them, right? Elect me and I will make sure that all these classified documents are available to you. And then we will get justice for the deep state and all of these folks who were Epstein's clients. Again, wild to me, totally wild that they still think Donald Trump is going to unveil or expose the deep state, not understanding that he's part of whatever they think the deep state is. It's just the super rich up here that are fucking all of the rest of us. That's the deep state, y'all. It's just the oligarchy. It's just rich people who don't have to play by the rules, who don't have to obey the law because they can just buy their way out of anything. They live in extreme extravagance, opulent, luxurious lifestyles while we in the working class suffer. They can get away with shit like trafficking girls. That's exactly what Epstein did, as he rubbed shoulders with all kinds of wealthy folks from all over the political spectrum. The deep state is just these rich folks, and Trump was part of that sphere. He was part of that ecosystem. That was the social scene that he ran in. Still runs in. He's a billionaire from New York City, y'all. He's not a populist. He doesn't care about the working class, and he certainly was never going to unveil the Epstein list with, I'm sure, his, buddies or whoever else on it. And in fact, as I was getting ready to sit down and talk about Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and this new reporting from Wired, I opened up TikTok, and the very first video I saw was from my buddy Hawk, referencing a tweet that AOC put out earlier today, which I had not seen because I don't use Twitter. So I rely on folks resharing tweets on Blue Sky, or I don't hear about them or see them. But in this instance, it was Hawk on TikTok. And so thank you for the heads up on that. I went over to Blue Sky in order to find AOC's tweet. And lo and behold, she retweeted the Wired article that I was going to talk about, that I have now talked about a little bit. And she also tweeted, wow, who would have thought that electing a rapist would have complicated the release of the Epstein files? Girlfriend's not mincing words, y'all. She is not afraid to call a fig. So apparently the right-wing ecosystem is now losing their minds over her saying the quiet part out loud. I mean, it's not even the quiet part, y'all. Donald Trump was found liable for sexually assaulting a woman. He is a man who famously was forgiven or like even praised for saying grab him by the kitty cat. He's a man who sexualized his own daughter when I think she was still a minor when he did that. Anytime. It doesn't matter when you do it. Sexualizing your own child is really fucking creepy and weird and gross. But I don't know. AOC's tweet to me is like, in other news, water is wet, right? Like, oh, somebody who was found liable in a court of law for sexual assault doesn't want to expose sexual predators? What? I understand that for my brain and maybe your brain, like we cannot comprehend how it is that so many MAGA were fooled into thinking that Donald Trump cared about children. I mean, you know, that he cared about the working class, that he cared about making America great again for anybody but himself and the oligarchs. When he said make America great again, what he said is keep my own ass out of prison, right? Like his plan was always about grifting, retribution, staying out of prison, getting petty vengeance on his political adversaries, and honestly, like the entire United States, right? He wanted retribution for what happened in 2020. I mean, we can see how he's weaponizing the federal government in order to open up investigations against people who investigated him 9 years ago. It's all about the grift, the retribution, staying out of prison. It was never about fulfilling campaign promises. He never intended to keep those campaign promises. He definitely never cared about children, and he never cared about the working class. And I just wonder here if like this is the opening, because conspiracy theorists do not do well when their conspiracy theory is shattered, right? And it's making them question everything, because Trump told them he would release the list. Pam Bondi said they would release they were promised this. If Trump lied about this, what else is he lying about? And also, like, if he cares about saving kids from the cabal of like Democratic deep state elites, because that's who they think is all the people on the Epstein list. Honestly, like, I would not be surprised if there are a fair number of Democrats on the Epstein list, y'all. It's just rich people are not good people, not ethical people. They often don't see other people as fully human, including girls, including young women, including the working class. So I would not be surprised. I would never have thought to define the Epstein list by political party. I would have thought to define it by the size of your bank account. But if MAGA are like, but he told us he would do this, and now we know there's a list. So for him to pretend that there's not one, like, why is he bullshitting us? What's going on here, right? So for the MAGA conspiracy theory brain, maybe the way they think is actually logical this time around. Maybe their own belief in conspiracy theories is really confirming for them something that they previously couldn't see as obviously glaringly true, which is the reason why, as AOC says, electing a rapist would have complicated the release of the Epstein files. It makes them wonder who's on that list. Why is it that the Trump regime, who said they cared about children, they said they cared about getting justice for the girls who were victimized by Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, why are they suddenly now pretending like that list doesn't exist? What are they hiding? What else are they lying to us about? Right? So is this the crack that's opening up for them to make them question all of the other things they've been indoctrinated with over the years? So it will be interesting to see where MAGA takes this, but once again, thanks AOC for being consistently willing to speak truth to power and to say the difficult things that might not always be politically advantageous, but are truthful and that the American public needs to hear.